In this lesson, I'm going to demonstrate how to use an array list to store data and then retrieve that data. In the last lesson, we created an integer array list for numbers. So let me demonstrate how to put some data into that. Array lists have a method called add that allow you to add data individually into the array list. So as you can see, I can just call the method with a number, in this case a grade, but it doesn't matter what the number is. Again, it just has to be an integer, and it will automatically put that data into the array list. With array lists, we don't worry so much about order. So even though probably 88 is going to be the first element of the array list and 77 the second, I can't be guaranteed of that, and to be honest, I'm really not interested in the order anyway. Well, let's do one more. So the add method allows you to add data to an array list. To get the data out, I can use a method called get. Let me demonstrate how that works. First, you'll notice I'm using a method called size to return the number of elements in the array list. And then I can call the get method with I as the argument to return the elements from the array list starting at the beginning. So let's compile this little program here. And then let's close and run. Whoops, let me call that back up. There we go. We're still in create array list, by the way. And there's my numbers. And they are in the order that I entered them, but just understand that you can't be guaranteed that. Another way to pull data out of an array list is to use something called a for each loop, which we've seen before. Here I just write I create a variable to store each element of the array list, followed by a colon and the name of the array list. And then I can retrieve the elements that way, which is quite a bit easier to use. Let's compile that. Then we'll close and run the program. So you see the second set using the for each loop starts right below, and it performs the very same task. So we get data into an array list using the add method, and we can retrieve data using either the get method or a for each loop, which will guarantee that we return all the elements of the array list. Using the for loop, of course, we could stop at any point, and we could conceivably go beyond. Let me demonstrate that real quick. Let's just say that I arbitrarily pick a number here, 10. Now, is that going to cause an error? Not necessarily, but watch what happens. Okay, yes, it actually did cause an error. And you'll see the error is an index out of bounds exception, because the index really is only going from 0 to 4 because we have 5 elements in the array list. By saying I less than 10, I let it go past that upper bound. So that's one reason why you need to be careful when you're using the for loop to get data out of an array list. If you're going to process all of the elements, then it's better just to use a for each loop. And to demonstrate that, let's calculate the average of these grades. So we're going to create a variable sum and another variable average, and then we're going to say for int n in numbers, sum is equal to sum plus n. I'll just do it the long way around. Then we'll compute the average by saying average is equal to sum divided by numbers dot size. And again, I'm going to use size to make sure that I get the correct number of elements in the array list. And size will always return exactly how many elements are actually stored there. So let's compile, close, and then we'll run the program. Let's get rid of that old error message. And then let's run. And so my average was 87. Let's add another loop in there real quick. Let's take the same loop, make a copy of it, and then we're going to change this to a system out print line in. There we go. Compile again, close, and run. There are our elements, and there's our average. So that wraps up this lesson on working with array lists. And now we're going to move on to the next lesson where we're going to talk about another type of an array, a multi-dimensional array that lets us store a table of data.